Okay, today I thought we'd play with some of the Ding-A-Lings. That's made by Topper Toys back in 1970, and for quite a few years thereafter they kept adding it to it. Let's see. Down on my knees here. I do have some of them still boxed, as you can see. For example, this one is a flying saucer Ding-A-Ling. And at the time that this was made, 1970, they only had 12 different Ding-A-Lings. I think by the time they were done with their Ding-A-Ling run, they had made something like 16 different ones, if you count King Ding and all those kind of things, and even Gopher. Some people count that as a Ding-A-Ling. Here's the claw, for example. Basically, these robots don't have a motor in them. Here's a Constructo. They sold the motor unit separately. Here is one of the motor units. The batteries go in the top of it like that, and then this whole unit slides into the back of the Ding-A-Ling. Here's the on-off switch. We're turning it on. You can see there's cranks moving here for the leg walking and arm moving function. And then if you were going to make it walk on the Skyway, we're going to talk about later, there's this whole gear section that will come down from there. This one apparently had been used in the Skyway section a lot because the teeth that drive all of that are pretty much worn away on this motor unit, so we can't really use it other than to demonstrate that. Let's see, what do we got? Two Constructo. Here's a Boxer. Actually have two Boxers. I've never gone out of my way to look for any of these, but whenever I'd see some that were still in the box and everything, I'd go ahead and grab them. Fireman. Actually put water in the fireman and he can squirt it out. He's in there. I believe that the one we started off with, the flying saucer, when you actually wind that saucer up on the top of his head, and there is a cam which is geared down super slow over here on this end. It comes around only after every, say, 6 or 7 foot cycles, so that could trigger another function, and I believe that's when it would fire the spring-loaded deal there. Then here we have Chef. And see, normally they just come with the black back panel which blocks off the unit. Then you buy the motor unit separate and it plugs in there and powers up this non-powered robot. I think I've got a data sheet here. It talks about the power units. Just use your pause control to read through any of this data that you would like. This side's obviously talking about putting the Ding-A-Ling on the Super Return Spaceway. They actually made, I think, 3 or 4 different kits. The one that I have here is the Super Return Spaceway. And let's start with the back side of the instructions for the Super Return Spaceway. Okay, I don't know that there's any more information of importance on the box. This particular Spaceway is telling you, see, it could come with any one of these 12 Ding-A-Lings back in 1971 when this Spaceway was sold. This particular one came with a Boxer. They would have checked which one, and right on the box it tells you that it came with 1 power pack. So your contents are listed there. Here's a boxer, for example, with a working power pack installed. And if I turn it to on, you'll see that the feet are moving and the arms are moving. Let's see, got it in camera. It has ratchet wheels on the bottom like you'd expect. And there's a second set of ratchets. It has one set of ratchets for the rear wheels and another set of ratchets that come into play whenever the thing's on the Spaceway, whenever it's like upside down, to keep things working right. They also sold a Ding-A-Ling, which is this rather large one, and it has a brain robot which rides up an elevator from between his legs up into the brain. Takes 4 D cells that actually would run on 2 because the D cells are in parallel. It has a picture wheel that'll turn when you're in elevator mode, if I remember right, and a switch on the back here where you select off, up, down if you're in elevator mode, or basically off and on if you're in walk mode. And it's not going to set any speed records in walk mode, trust me. If I can remember how to, there we go. So you can see he just kind of shuffles along there. And then to get from walk mode into, say, elevator mode. So this should be elevator down. Oh, yeah, the ding's going down. He's already gone from the head. Now he's down in between the feet. And because I wasn't watching what I was doing, I have it kind of hung up at the moment. So we'll leave that for now. The arms you worked manually. You got a lever for opening and closing the claws. Thrilling, right? Okay. So the boxer that we looked at earlier, I'll slide him onto the Spaceway, I think. I've actually never done this. And there's a little lever on the back that the instructions told you to move down. So I'll turn that on and move the lever. And there he goes. Let's get the camera a little closer here so you can see the fun. Let's find out what happens when he gets to the end. Like I say, I've never done this before. I've never had the power packs running before. I had to rebuild them. That's when I found out that first power pack I showed you, this one here, kind of has a stripped gear which won't allow it to work on the Spaceway. But this power pack, the gears are all in really good shape. They just had a bad battery contact. So let's see what happens when he comes to the loop-de-loop. See if those rear ratchets work the way I was thinking they're going to work. Well, it looks like he got hung up. Is that the ratchet working, or? Holy gamoly! So much for the Spaceway, but it didn't hurt the boxer. The boxer is still going. And oh, the center drive part that we're talking about, you see how that gear comes down? There's actually, depending on how you want to count the gears, there's 12 individual plastic gears in here. And if you actually count the small and the large, say this one gear has 2 different gear sizes, but it's one gear. If you counted them as separate gears, which because mechanically they are, there's like 16 gears in this little bitty gearbox. So it's pretty packed, but the only one that's stripped out is the one that drives the Spaceway. So we know that this one probably is the one that came with that Spaceway, and it got a lot of wear and tear. I'm sure that gear could be cast by Randy Rain. He could probably make a replacement for that. But it might be easier just to buy another another power pack off eBay, and you might find one that still has a good gear but maybe a bad motor. Or more than likely someone had left batteries in it, and the batteries caused a lot of undue rust to the contacts because they were left in there. I was going to see if there was anything else on here. Like I say, we already looked at it. There's probably some instructions that I didn't follow on how to play so that the robot remains locked on. Ding-A-Ling must glide around return. Well, we had him go in the right direction. Lever and walk position all the way down. Perhaps I didn't have it all the way down. The Ding-A-Lings must always travel one way only. Alright. There it is, going upside down even. Holy shamoly. So there you have it. When you look online, it looks like by the end of the run of the toy, there might have been as many as 16 different Ding-A-Lings, possibly, depending on how you want to count them and whose website you look at, and whether you count the King Ding as one of the Ding-A-Lings, and whether you count some of the other toys they sold, like Gopher, as a Ding-A-Ling. But that's what I've purchased. Like I say, I've never gone out of my way to hunt for them. If I just happened to be somewhere and I saw one and I could afford it, and I knew I didn't already have it, I picked it up.